fork groove of M3, C4 and C5 gears. Moly oil is a mixture of molybdenum disulfide grease and engine oil in a ratio of 1:1. Align and hold the main shaft and countershaft assembly and install them in the crankcase as shown here. Ensure that M2 and C2 are on the same plane. Before installation of the gear shift fork, measure the inner diameter and claw thickness. Install the gear shift fork marked R during disassembly first on C5 gear and then L on C4 gear with the marking on the fork facing downwards. Install the gear shift fork marked C on M3 gear with the marking facing downwards. Before installation of the gear shift drum, inspect the ends for scoring and grooves for abnormal wear or damage. Measure the OD of each end. Install the gear shift drum with the pin end facing downwards. Align the gear shift fork guide pins in the gear shift drum grooves. Before installation of the gear shift fork shaft, measure the OD at 3 locations as shown. Insert the gear shift fork shaft, aligning the gear shift fork hole in line with the crankcase hole. Now follow the same process for the other gear shift fork shaft. Finally, lubricate and rotate the countershaft and check for free rotation. Install the right crankshaft bearing thrust plate. Before installing the crankshaft, check for crankshaft runout, connecting broadside clearance, bend and twist. Inspect the timing sprocket teeth for wear or damage. Install the crankshaft. Install new dowel pins. Apply light but thorough coating of liquid sealant TB1215 on the left crankcase mating surface as shown. Ensure that the mating surface is free from oil and residual liquid sealant. Install the left crankcase as shown. Insert the countershaft oil seal guide in the oil seal. Do not force the crankcase halves together. If there is an excessive force required, something may be wrong. Remove the crankcase and check for misaligned parts. Install all the left crankcase bolts and tighten them in a crisscross pattern. Always insert the bolts first and check the protruding distance from the crankcase to the bolt head without threading it in. The distance should be similar for all the bolts. If any bolt is found to be having more or less distance, check for the correct location of the bolt. Now, bring the engine to vertical position. Install and tighten the right crankcase bolt. Always place a shock towel on the opening in the crankcase to prevent the fasteners from falling inside. Install the bearing set plate as shown. Apply moly oil to plunger bearing push hole surface and install in the crankcase. Moly oil is a mixture of molybdenum disulfide grease and engine oil in a ratio of 1:1. Install the spring. Apply thread locking agent TB1322 on bearing push plate bolt threads. Install the push plate and tighten the bolt.